Now that you're ready to purchase mushroom spawn, you should know a few things. The source where you purchase your spawn from is very important, because if it doesn't have the proper quality, it's going to affect your mushroom production. There are several things to look for, and this is something that only growers with experience know best. A clean mycelium is the key for successful mushroom cultivation, and every mushroom grower knows this. Therefore, they always choose trustful companies. So let's see how this could affect your efforts. Let's say that you're getting bad spawn from somewhere and you start to use that. This is what might happen. It will contaminate your entire grow bags. It will partially contaminate your grow bags, which will or not give you mushrooms in the end. You also lose your investment and the time that you're putting in. This means that you put a lot of effort and time into it and get nothing, or yet very few mushrooms. So you'll need to pay attention to the following whenever you purchase spawn, just to make sure you don't run into trouble. Premium quality grain spawn should be fresh, not more than 4 weeks from the inoculation point. Usually the spawn comes with an inoculation date on it. Check for that date and make sure it's in a 4 weeks range. But let's see why this is important. First of all, because the fungus, when active, consumes its food at a fast rate. Of course, if you're going to keep that oyster mushroom in the fridge, it's going to slow down the growth rate. But remember that some of these oyster mushrooms, they're actually cold-loving species, so they're going to consume the nutritious food quite fast. Second, if a grower will use old spawn in his attempts to grow mushrooms, he'll face two things: lower yields, and second, higher risk of contamination, because old spawn bags improperly stored could get flooded with competitor organisms. It should be viable and not dead. To check its viability, take a few colonized grain kernels and place them in a wet cotton swab and leave it for 48 hours at room temp. You should see the mycelium starting to colonize the cotton swab. This is valid for wood degrading fungi. Also, fresh spawn should be easy to break. Always check for broken seals or holes in the bag that the product is placed in. A bag of spawn should have its seal intact. Senescence is a sign that the strain is getting old. It's the time when the spawn shows localized growth patterns. This could affect yield. Fresh spawn usually won't show exudates, but this is not a rule. The weight should be the same as stated on the label. In old spawn, usually the content of a bag or jar shrinks, so you will find less weight. A good quality spawn shouldn't show any pink, green, black, or bluish green spots. These are signs for mold presence. Here you may see a black mold infected spawn. Another important indicator is smell. Moldy smell or spoiled smell would indicate altered spawn and should be not used in the mushroom growing process. Each mushroom species has a characteristic smell. Make sure the smell is what it should be like. For this you need to smell it quite often to get used to it, and then you'll know that this particular oyster mushroom has this smell and that particular oyster mushroom has that kind of smell. This spawn color right here is characteristic for the common oyster, phoenix, yellow or king, while this pink color is characteristic for pink oysters, and this here is characteristic for the abalone oyster. Good quality spawn shouldn't show any slimy presence on the inner walls of the bag, so this indicates bacterial presence, as you may see in here. If your spawn bag looks like this, tell them to give you a refund. Make sure that you won't see any fruit bodies inside your spawn bag when you're going to purchase that. This is old spawn that passed for weeks from the inoculation point and started to develop fruit bodies inside. If somebody is trying to sell you something like this, tell them to give your money back. Spawn should be shipped at 40 Fahrenheit, and this means like 4 degrees Celsius, especially during summer. This is serious because spawn is a living organism that may die at temps higher than 90 Fahrenheit or 35-40 degrees Celsius, except the pink oyster that should be shipped at 60-80 Fahrenheit or 15-26 Celsius, and any other tropical oyster mushroom kinds like Pleurotus tuberegium. So that's why you need to find a local supplier when purchasing spawn. Once you get your purchased spawn bag, you'll need to store that until usage, or use that right away. It's up to you. It should be stored in a fridge or cold room at 40 F or 4 degrees Celsius, except the hot weather loving mushrooms like pink oysters or the tuberegium oyster mushroom. The abalone oyster, the yellow and the Florida, are good to go to be stored in the fridge, even if they are warm weather strains, but they resist at cold temps too.